So I'll begin my story with some definitions and a brief history lesson. A perm is the chemical process that was used in the 80s that would take straight hair and make it curly. Now, Black people, we use the term perm and relaxer interchangeably. But a relaxer for us is a chemical process that was invented in 1909, and the main active ingredient in a lye-based relaxer is sodium hydroxide. This grooming process burns. And the thought process is the longer you can keep the relaxer on, the straighter your hair will be. The longer, the straighter, the better, the whiter. See, this process allowed for Black Americans to alter our hair to be closer to the white standard of beauty at the time. Now, Black women, our hair and history have a complicated story. Take, for instance, the Tillon Law of 1786 in Louisiana. This forced Black and biracial women to wrap their hair to denote us to be of a lower class. However, Black women subverted this law by wrapping that what we were supposed to be embarrassed by. We wrapped it in fantastic fabrics with bows and ribbons and beautiful stones. Now, I got my first relaxer when I was 4 years old. I saw my older sisters doing it, so I, of course, had to do it too. Sundays in our household was a time for our mom to do our hair. And more than that, it was a time for her to connect with us as her daughters. We would listen to her favorite music. We would watch her favorite movies. And this is where I fell in love with Al Green's song, Love and Happiness, and the beautiful musical stylings of Sam Cooke. I also saw my first music video, MJ's Remember the Time. Now, I didn't notice differences until kids in school pointed them out. They would say, "Your nose is big," or "Your skin is a different color than mine." I have a vivid memory of a white girl that sat behind me, shoved her hands inside of my hair and said, "Your hair is really oily." Well, my mom did put oil moisturizer on it every day before I went to school. The rest of that year, I was made fun of because my classmates thought that my mom went to the gas station to get oil for my hair. Now, the 6th grade swimming party, let me tell you, it was the worst day of my elementary school life. I sat on the side of the pool for the 4 to 5 hours because I was terrified of what my hair would look like wet. And I didn't want my classmates making fun of me. Water is the Black woman's curse. Now, what I didn't understand at that time and as a kid is that I wanted to look like the other white girls in my class. I couldn't change my nose. I couldn't change my skin color. But I was going to make darn sure that my hair was straight like theirs. Now, middle school was where the good hair versus bad hair debates began. I felt like because of my skin color and my hair, I wasn't Black enough for some of my Black classmates. And I also felt like because of my skin color and my hair, I was too Black for my white classmates. I remember dressing up in a school play as Angela Davis, the Black political activist in the 70s and 80s. My aunt sent me an Afro wig to be a part of my costume. And that was the first time that I had seen Black hair in its natural form and in all of its volume. Prior to that, I think I had really only seen it in movies and in books. I also participated in a school poetry competition, which I won by reciting Nikki Giovanni's Beautiful Black Men. A couple of lines that stick out to me are, "Beautiful Black men with out-of-sight afros, they make me scream and stamp and shout. Walking down the street is the same old danger, but a brand new pleasure." Now, fast forward to high school, I went part-time to cosmetology school to get my license, and part-time to regular school. And this is where I started experimenting with my hair. I added red streaks. I went blonde, which my mom was not happy about. But I also just started seeing what my hair texture could look like outside of straight. But college is where I found the freedom to do what I wanted with my body, with my clothes, and especially with my hair. Every week of freshman year, it was like a new hairstyle. I went from wearing Bantu knots to braids to cornrows. I wore it up, I wore it down, straight, curly, anything you name it, I tried it. It was like trying on jeans. Some looked really good and others not so much. But the way my hair looked wasn't dependent on what my classmates thought. I was pushing the limits of what my hair could do. And then came the scissors. I cut it to my shoulders and then to my collarbone. And then I just decided to cut it up to my chin. When I went home for the summer, I decided to just go for it and cut off all of the straight, relaxed hair. I thought I had made the biggest mistake of my life because there's this myth among Black women that our hair doesn't grow or it grows at a slower pace. And so I didn't think it was going to grow back. But it was during those uncomfortable months that I had to learn to like the person that I saw in the mirror. I ended up playing a game with myself every day. It was called Pick Your Favorite Curl. And I would find one curl that I enjoyed just to find this one thing that I liked about this new me. I remember getting caught in a rainstorm, and at first I was terrified. And then I remembered I didn't really have any hair to mess up. When my curl pattern finally came in at the end of the summer, and I saw my cute corkscrew curls by not putting any chemicals on them or altering them with heat or straighteners, I fell in love. It was like walking into a house that you've lived in for years and finally appreciating the carpet you chose, the paint you decided to put on the walls, and the art that you hung. Coming back to school in the fall felt like coming back to the real me. I felt a new sense of comfort in my Blackness. I didn't need to explain myself. I didn't have to prove myself to anyone. My house was standing on a firmer foundation. And what I'm learning is that there's no one way to wear your hair that's better than anyone else's. My natural curls is not better than a woman who wears weave, is not better than a Black man who decides to lock his hair, is not better than a sister who has to get it permed every 6 weeks. What's important is to understand, are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it because it makes you feel beautiful? Or are you doing it to appease someone in a professional situation? To look like someone in the mainstream that they say is beautiful, that you can never attain. I'm glad I had the experience of being uncomfortable and to have to grow and learn to fall in love with my hair and myself for the first time. And that is something that I wouldn't give up for the world. I found myself in all of my glory and in all of my curls. Thank you.